Yeah, I'm good to go.
Good morning. I welcome you at the webinar on the Norwegian construction market, trends and forecast for 2024. My name is Austris Keish. I work as the Director of Export Promotion at LIA Norway office and the Latvian Embassy in Norway as well. And today we will take a look at the current market situation, the main challenges Latvian construction companies face or could face in Norway. And Jørgen, you know this best. Making predictions about the market is an unforgiving job, but we will also ask you to take out a crystal ball and give your take on the market trajectory in 2024 and beyond. So first you will hear a presentation from our expert, which will take around 35 to 40 minutes. So he will cover different market segments and challenges. During the presentation, I encourage you, the participants, to send in your questions, which we will address at the second part of the event. And before I introduce our expert, I'd like to give a very brief overview of the Latvian export to Norway in 2023. It was a challenging year for the Latvian companies in Norway. The total amount of export across all industries decreased by 13% in comparison with 2022. The most challenging was the export of wood products, meaning prefabricated wooden houses, modular elements, furniture, etc. So the export of wood products last year decreased by 30%, so almost by a third in comparison with 2022. However, we are not completely unique in these challenges. For example, last year, the total amount of export from Estonia to Norway decreased by almost 16%. So the whole Baltic region is struggling a bit currently. And of course, there are many reasons behind it when it comes to the Norwegian construction market. There are some who call it the perfect storm, meaning that everything is happening at the same time. The weak Norwegian krone, high bank interest rates, spiking costs, etc. And to break down the market situation and to perhaps help you weather the storm, I would like to introduce Jørgen Gynge. He's the managing partner at a Norwegian law firm, Sæland, Rødl & Partners. Jørgen has an extensive experience working with construction and real estate market, both as a lawyer and developer. So he works with top real estate developers in Norway, and I'm happy to say that he's also a frequent guest in Latvia. Jørgen, thank you for joining us today. We are happy to have you. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Austris. Just checking, can you hear me, Austris? Just thumbs up. Perfect, thanks. My name is Jørgen Gynge. I'm the managing partner in law firm Sæland, Rødl & Partner. We do tax advisory, real estate advisory, and corporate law advisory. We are cooperating with Rødl & Partner, which is a large law firm worldwide with companies in 50 with the offices in 50 countries all over the world. But that was only a short, brief presentation of our company. But now I'm going to go into the subjects for today. We have some subjects to go through, and there will be a brief overview because we have lots to talk. I have lots to talk about, and so there will be firstly an overview of the real estate and construction market, an overview of that, and then I'm going to talk about the main challenges facing the market or obstacles that we can see, and I'm going to go briefly into legal and economic hot topics that you need to be aware of, or that you should be aware of, which is really important, I believe. And I'll also try to do a little forecast of the years to come, for the next couple of years. That's not something that that is going to be a certain map to guide by, but it's a forecast. It's a weather forecast in a way. So the real estate and construction market from last year was a bit bumpy. It was a bumpy road. The transaction market in Norway was, of course, not working very well. There was very low transaction market, low activity in the transaction market, and also in the residential market, which I presume you know already. The residential market really stopped up a couple of years ago, and it's still really slow. The retail market and the office market was moving quite well, and also the logistic market was working quite well. The best segment was hotels, and they were, yeah, you can see the sun. That was a real good and still going strong industry. So we can see that the transaction market is now increasing a bit in this year, in 2024. We can also see that for the office market, for instance, put on the brake. So it's not. I'm going to go through that in a short while. But the office market is put on a brake, and so in the sense that there are not much building activity at the moment. But I'll come back to that, because it's going to be better in a little while. So we can also see that there's a demand for central locations. So what I'm going to talk about today is mostly Oslo and Greater Oslo area. But some of those points that I'm talking about is also quite similar in the larger Norwegian cities like Trondheim, Bergen, Stavanger, and Kristiansand, and the surroundings, or the Bergen and the suburbs, if you know what I mean, the greater Bergen, the greater Trondheim, the greater Stavanger area. But there's demand for central locations. Residential market is still slow though in 2024. At the moment it is, but I'll come back to that as well in the end. Okay, I'm gonna go through this because the transaction market is sort of an indicator of how the market is working in Norway. Just gonna move a picture here. 1 second. There we are. The transaction market is sort of it can show the temperature of the action in the market. It has been 24 transactions in 2024. The transaction volume, as you can see on the right side of the graph there, it's really low at the moment, but it's beginning to move, and it's a bit well, this is early 2024, and it's a bit up from last year. So there's an optimism in the market, but we have now been very worried about what the interest rate is going to be like for the next couple of months. But we are a bit more positive now. I'm going to come back to that also a bit later. But the market is now a bit more positive, and we are expecting a desire to make more investments in 2024. But the estimate for the total transaction in Norway during this year is going to be a bit above 60 billion kroners. So it's going to be a bit above last year, but still one of the weakest years in transactions for some time. We can see now on this graph that the transaction volume has really decreased for the last couple of years, but we now also see that the bottom is reached, and we have passed the bottom, which was last year, we believe. And as you can see, there's a point there on the right-hand side where you can see it's going to be approximately 63 billion kroners in total turnover for transaction markets. So there's a bit more positivity coming into the market now, well, so far it's approximately 20 billion kroners that has been that are deals that have been made. What's important for you to know is that the office lease market is really below 2022 and 2023, and this makes impact on the activity of building offices in Oslo or Greater Oslo and all the other larger cities. It's better than last year, though. As you can see on the graph, it's a bit the lines are pulling a bit up. The red line is the west side of Oslo, and the pink one is the eastern side of Oslo, and as you can see, the black line is central Oslo. But all three lines indicate that there's a increasing activity in the office lease market, but below earlier year anyway. So this shows that, well, this is the vacancy graph, but it shows that there's a bit more vacancy now. But the thing is that there will not be more building activity because this is the graph that shows that people or the offices are needing less space. After COVID, we got used to use Teams and Zoom and stuff like that. So we now are more able to use home office, and that's also an impact on the need for office space. So there's a bit more positivity regarding office space and the need for that, as you can see on the green line, compared to last year. But as you can see on the white line, the expectations or the need for office space is decreasing. So there's a new trend going. In the logistics market, there are low expectations of growth. The vacancy rates in Greater Oslo is 4 to 4.6%, and in Central Oslo it's only 2.6%, and in the north the vacancy rate is 4.5%, and in the south and west it's about 6 and 5%. So the vacancy rates are quite low. Reduced expectancy of growth, but the market is still going quite well, as you saw on the weather screen that I showed you earlier in my presentation. The logistics market is working. It's functioning. But there will be supposedly some more activity in the logistic market, building new logistic parks during 2025 and so forth. The market is going to come back. In the residential area, there is a really, really depressing graph to show you. This is showing the graph that, well, the 12-month rolling sale and commissioning are really, really going downwards. But it's now tending to maybe flatten out. We can see that on the right side. But there's very little sold, and there's very little that are being commissioned. So that will be the trend for some time, I'm afraid. This is for detached housing. You can see the graph is also depressing in a way. Very little sold compared to earlier years, and also very little commissioned compared to earlier years. This was from detached housing. It's also the same, but more flattening out for small houses. We hope that this is the trend, that the market for small houses are coming a bit more back. That this can be sort of a signing of change, but it's going to take some time till the market is coming back, because coming back to that later, but we have municipal regulations and troubles with the timing that the municipality are using in the regulations and so forth. So not everyone is working quite fast, I would say, so that there are some elements here that are not on our side in developing more housing. That goes for all types of residential housing. You can also see that for apartments the market is slowing, and it's also even worse in the commissioning part. As you can see, the graph is pointing downwards on that, so there are little commissioned for the apartment area in the Greater Oslo. But as you can see, the need for housing, which is the orange line, the need for housing is really huge. This infects the pricing of the housing in Oslo, Greater Oslo. So because there is little to offer, but there is a demand for housing, the prices are increasing. So this is a pain for the politicians and so forth. So they are trying to keep the interest rates high, so to slow down the market, so that the prices of the housing is not going upwards. But these are trends that are working against each other. So as it's not been built anything or sold anything, and the demand is still high, the pricing of the housing is going up. So a bit of a trouble there. But what you can see out for this is that we are in need of housing, so it's going to be built a lot. So I think it's wise to follow the market in Norway to see what's happening, because the market will bounce back at some point. It certainly will, and then it's going to be a huge demand for construction help to this market. As you can see here out of this graph, these are all the different areas in Norway, the east and southern part, Østfold, and up to Finnmark, which is way up north. As you can see, Oslo and Akershus on the left side, they are indicating the need or that demand for housing and supply. It's the red line. That's the really high demand for housing. And you can also see that is this the same in Stavanger or Rogaland and Hordaland on the middle side. And that is Stavanger and Bergen. And you have Trøndelag, which is Trondheim. The Trondheim area, so there's a huge demand there. And you also see a bit to the left, which says Oppland and Buskerud. That is Drammen and Hamar region, Lillehammer region, and Drammen. Those are the larger cities and the larger areas in the middle of Norway and the west side of Norway, and of course the greater Oslo area. There's a huge demand for housing and supply. So the market is going to bounce back. Even though not at the moment, it seems. But as you can see, there are on the line here, there's an indication. It's if we are trying to think positive, it seems to be an indication of an upwards moving graph of sales on the holiday home area, which is good, but because this market has been super slow after COVID. It was a huge amount of housing for holiday homes. The sales of holiday homes during COVID, as you can see on the red line. And then after COVID, it all went down again, and really, really slow markets, but it's going backwards. No, not backwards, but it's coming back again, hopefully, in a little while. But still slow, though. It's not going back to the good old days in the 2020 or 2021 during COVID. It's not going back there, I believe. We can assume that it's going to be a bit more normal trend in a little while. And then to the troubles or the difficulties that we can see, the obstacles that we have in the market. The challenges that we can see is that the inflation rate has been going upwards, and it's been a depressing sight for years, really. But there was a positive trend in 2023 that gave hope. It started to move down a bit. And we saw a significant drop in the long-term interest rates in Q4 in 2023. And the rates have increased a bit. But we are now hoping that will be a bit more positive trend on the inflation rate for the time to come. As you see, that Norway is still really high above the other US and the Eurozone. Norway is the orange line on the graph here. So the inflation is quite high, but going downwards. There's a doubt in the market in the beginning of this year if the inflation rate is on its way up or is it going to go down. The Fed chief, Mr. Powell, said that he says there, what we're seeing is a continued strong growth, strong labor market, and continuing progress in bringing inflation down. The Fed can and will be cutting rates if the economy evolves over that path. When we do that confidence and we are not far from it, it will be appropriate to begin to dial back the level of restriction. So that's maybe a positive trend or indication of positivity, but we don't know yet. We are hoping, though. We see that the interest rate is going. We are hoping that it will come down again, but it will go later, slower, and there are going to be fewer cuts in the interest rate. We assume that it's going to go back to the interest rate is going down again in a couple of years. As you can see on the yellow line, the largest bank in Norway, called DNB, are assuming that the interest rate is dropping on the right, and the graph on the right side. It's going to drop down to a bit above 3% in a couple of years. But it's not going back to 0 or 1% as it was in a couple of years ago. The market expects interest cuts to appear after the summer. And yesterday there was a meeting in the central bank in Norway, and they kept the interest rate on 4.5% yesterday. So it was not going up. That was the first time in a long time. That is not that it didn't move upwards. So that was good. And the chief of the central bank in Norway said that it's most likely going to come cuts in September this year. So this indicates that the graph that you can see on the right side here is the correct one, really. So everyone expects a positive second half in 2024. So now I think we have reached the bottom in a way. So the interest rates are hopefully at its highest at the moment, and it's going to be better times. That was a bit of a forecast there. It's going to be better times. Some, however, experts say that they think that the interest rate is going to be the same until December. So some believe in September, some believe in December, but well, you never know. But there's a bit of a more positivity going on in the market. The strong price growth is the main reason why Norges Bank has increased the interest rates sharply in the recent years. The price growth and wage growth, the kroner's exchange rate and activity in the Norwegian economy are key areas for the central bank to monitor. And Norges Bank's future interest rates will probably depend on it if and when the US central bank and the European central bank reduce their interest rates. So that's why we need to look to the US and the Eurozone. But in the US, as I said a few slides ago, the federal bank's policy rate is likely at its peak and is maybe going down as well in a couple of months' time or years. So a bit more positive trend in the market, and the psychology is also there. But still, the Norwegian kroner is weak. It's stronger, but it's stronger in Q1 this year than expected. The Norwegian labor market remains robust. The unemployment rate, as measured by the labor force, is 3.9% in January. And it was 1.9% in February, and seasonally adjusted, and 2.1% unadjusted. National accounts for employed persons, seasonally adjusted, increased by 0.7% compared to Q4 in 2022. For the residential market, there are some challenges. There's still darker times, as I said. This goes also for the labor or for the staffing in the companies that are working in the residential market. There are redundancies in several companies. Residential developers and architects and so forth are taking redundancies in their companies, and it's a bit of a hard time, really, in the residential market at the moment. The municipal regulations is also slow, especially in Oslo, and that's a headache for everyone in the market, because the regulations are not moving fast enough. The municipality is not working fast enough and not helping out, really. So that's a huge subject in the press, and politicians are doing the best. There was an election last year in the autumn that gave us a new city council in Oslo, and then hopefully that will help. They are really eager to work faster on the regulations area, so that there will be more projects to start and to sell and to build in the years to come. And it's hopefully going to work quite fast. So I know that they are wanting to regulate 3,000 more buildings only this year from the politician side in Oslo. So that will help new projects to come ahead, and to be so there'll be jobs to do and work to do for both architects and developers, and also the construction market will be better. There's also an obstacle because the costs of building has been increasing, both for the developer and also then for the buyer side, of course, when the housing is getting more expensive. So that's been a negative trend the latter years. Hopefully that will flatten out, but that is also something that we can't control, because there are demands from other regions and other parts of the world that we don't control. If the construction cost is going up, it depends on what's happening around in the larger picture. Hot topics that you need to know, and this is important: the Transparency Act. This doesn't apply to everyone, but it applies to larger businesses that supply goods and services, and there are conditions that you have to meet. If you have to meet 2 out of 3 conditions during the last 2 years. If the company has a sale revenue of 70 million kroner, and a balance of 70 million kroner, or an average number of employees at 50. If you score on 2 out of those 3, you have to consider the Transparency Act, and that's very important. As you can see, I've circled out one of the most important things for you to remember, because the companies in Norway, they have to identify or document backwards. They have to identify and assess adverse impacts backwards. So that means that if the Norwegian company is using a Latvian company, the Latvian company also have to be able to identify and assess adverse impacts in operations, supply chains, and business relationships. So that is really important that you know of, and that you have documentation that can show that you are sort of on the right side on this matter. That will help you to get business and also to keep in business or stay in business with Norwegian companies, if you're able to document correctly and good enough. So that is really something that you need to do, to take in consideration. There's also ESG, environmental and social and governance. The taxonomy is also a very hot topic in Norway. Developers and banks are really onto this, and several Norwegian banks are focused and giving better terms on loans, etc., so that the companies that are needing loans and to get into business, building residential housing or offices or logistic parks or whatever, they are the developers are also into environmental, social, and governance. So that is something that you should know about, because that will be a demand from the Norwegian companies that you are working together with or collaborating with in Norway. If you can meet those demands, you are you're better suited for business with the Norwegian companies. And there's also just one short notice there. The labor law from May 2023, there was new restrictions in temporary employment and hire of labor and contracting. Just as you know, there were some restrictions being made. So it's not that easy anymore to have temporary employment or hire of labor. So it's just a reminder. I'll try to make a forecast. The current forecast for confirmed new build volume in Greater Oslo is, in addition of the 61,000 in 2024 so far, it's 226,000 square meters in 2025 and 128,500 in 2026. Despite an expected increase in the construction pipeline, the three-year net construction of office space remains low in a historical context, but it's going to come back. The demand for office space, which arises from employment growth, is usually lagging for 5 to 7 years. So this demand accounts for approximately 3/4 of the take-up, and the remaining quarter of demand can be attributed to the employment outlook for the forthcoming year, meaning that the demand for space often occurs 1 year prior to the hiring. So this means that the market is going to come back, but it's going to move a bit slower than we'd like it to do. There's an unrealized demand for around 470,000 square meters of office, which is just quite a lot. But due to timing effects and subdued economic forecasts, the office market is likely to experience a few slow years before the potential boom. So, as I say, the market is going to come back, but it's going to take a little while. The residential market has temporarily stopped, as we talked about earlier. It's a bit better in the greater Oslo, but it's not great. In the central parts of Oslo, it's almost nothing going on. When the interest rates move down, the market will be better. The projects that are put on hold will be active again, and most likely it's going to be a bit better from early next year. As I mentioned, the interest rates are now, or the central bank has indicated that the interest rate is going down, and so that's positive. We expect it to be then a little bit better from early next year. This goes for the same for the market of holiday homes. The market has almost totally stopped, but will be most likely be a bit better from next year. So as a summary, there are still troubled times, but it will be better from late this year and onwards. The office market will bounce back, not in the next month, but it will bounce back in due time. And the residential market is also going to come back. We saw that there was lots of demand for office space. There's a lot of demand for residential space in Oslo, Greater Oslo, all the largest cities, Bergen, Stavanger, Trondheim, and in the inner parts of Norway, Hamar and Lillehammer area. On the logistic side, there are low expectations of growth, but the market is still moving, and there have been built logistic parks. I know, I have one for sale, so I know there's going to be something happening. But it's low expectations of growth in that market. So I think it's gonna just move slowly ahead. Please be aware of the Transparency Act. That's really important, and be focused on the ESG. Be able to meet the expectations from the Norwegian market, both on ESG and regarding the Transparency Act. That would be a really good help for you, I think. So this is what I was going to say, really. Now we are over to the Q&A part, and I'll perhaps just go to this slide so you see my face. This is me. And this is what we are working with in our company: tax, VAT, corporate law, and real estate.
Jørgen, thank you so much for the presentation and market insights. So there are some good news and signals that market could bounce back rather sooner than later. So we have still a couple of minutes left, so I would suggest we start the Q&A session. Actually, I have a couple of questions of my own, and I see that the companies have started to send them in. So I remind the participants that you have a chance to ask your question in the question section. Jørgen, one strategy is when there is a crisis, the national and local governments tend to invest more in public infrastructure. It's schools, nursing homes, roads, bridges, etc., to boost activity and keep the market going. Do you see this happening in Norway?
I'm thinking because the answer is actually no. We are they are not building or doing more of those kinds of projects to keep the country moving, because how can I say, our country is quite well, the unemployment rate is still quite low, you see. So it's the country is moving or going quite well even though the times are down. So it's because of the oil we have, we have a machinery that works quite well. So what we can see, we have projects, large projects that are going on, but we don't. I can't see that they have put these kinds of projects on for the sakes of for the laborers. No. Unfortunately, no.
Yeah. Well, a bit related question is, since Russia started its brutal and unprovoked full-scale war in Ukraine, approximately 70,000 refugees from Ukraine have arrived in Norway, and more are arriving every day. Do you see that it puts more pressure on the housing market in Norway? And maybe you could give a bit of your thought on how the local communities are coping with the influx of refugees. Is there maybe potential for modular elements which later can be used for other purposes?
That will be. I think that is a good question, and I think that can be a possible demand in the near future. Actually, I believe so, because it's difficult to find space, as you're into. So yeah, I think so. If you have products that can meet those expectations and also the regulations in Norwegian law regarding technology and meet the demands we have in the regulations, that can be that is absolutely a market, and that goes not only for central or greater Oslo. That is also all the way up through our country. So, but yes, there's one thing though. I don't believe that we are having. So I don't think we are having as much refugees or people moving to Norway as you do in for instance, Latvia or Poland. But maybe the situation is a bit worse there. But I think there's a market for that. Okay, next question.
So the green shift in construction industry, it's green shift is one of the top priorities in the EU and Norway as well. And one of the companies is asking about the green transition in construction sector and how it's going, and the use of the so-called green construction equipment. Could you please share us some thoughts how the green transition in this industry is going?
Yes, as I said in my presentation, there's a focus on that, on green loans and stuff. So the banks are really into it. You get better loans, what they say, a better interest rate if you're building a green building or greener building. Also, the market, the office market, or the tenants are focused on that in the office market, and also on the residential side. That also goes for the energy that you use. So there's absolutely a huge focus on that, and the government is focused on it, of course. The government is, and when the banks are and the financial focused on it, sort of makes the market move in that direction. So that's why I mentioned it. So that's really important to look at the ESG and taxonomy, because it's a really focus on that. So if you have products or people that are good in this area, that's a really positive thing. Yeah.
There is another question regarding regulatory compliance issues, and this could be rather specific question, but maybe you could share some thoughts. Edward is asking how to ensure that services, he's speaking specifically about crane rental, how to ensure that the services meets Norwegian safety standards and regulations, like the licensing requirements, safety protocols, and certifications necessary to operate cranes in Norway.
That was a really long question. Could you take it again, please?
So he's asking about crane rental used for construction purposes and how those services can meet Norwegian safety standards and regulations.
Yeah, how to meet them? Well, you have to set yourself into the demands then, and see if you can meet them really. But if the question is how to get the knowledge, we can help out with that. I can't give you an answer on how and what the demands are at the moment, because I don't have the answer. But if there's a demand for that from your market, we can make we can make a report that will give you the information that you need.
So this perhaps needs a bit more research.
This needs research for me. This is not a usual subject for me, but we can certainly find that out.
Yeah, Jørgen, I'll big thank you to you. We have I see that we have answered all the questions for now. So that's it for now. Thank you to all the companies for both the questions and participation. The webinar will be available at businessgo.lv, and next week I will share it on my LinkedIn page as well. So in case you want to learn even more about the market or market opportunities, feel free to reach out to me or Jørgen. So big thank you to you, Jørgen, for your presentation and expertise. That is very generous of you. Thank you all for today. Have a good Friday and even better weekend, and see you next time.
See you next time. Thank you.
Bye.